How urgent is a system restart required for security? To learn a bit of server administration, I've set up a simple Ubuntu 14.04 server on which I run a personal website. I've set it to automatically install security updates, but leave out the other updates. This seems to work pretty fine. Occasionally I get a message when logging into the server with SSH saying, the times this happened I simple rebooted Ubuntu and all was fine. This is okay because it's a simple personal website. What I wonder about though is how this works for web servers, which should be up 99.9999 etc% of the time. Do they simply not restart and risk the security being breached because security updates are not installed, which I cannot imagine? Or do they take the downtime for granted, which I cannot imagine either? How should I handle this if this were a very important production server which I want to keep up and running? All tips are welcome. Edit. I know I can do cat/var/run/reboot required.pkgs to list the packages which cause the reboot. The command currently yields the following. But how do I know if the updates are little things of whether I have a serious security vulnerability if I don't do the restart? Edit 2. Okay, I now combined the commands I've found to be useful into one. If this doesn't output anything, there don't seem to be security issues with a high urgency. One last question though, are low, medium, and high the only urgency possibilities, or are there any more, like for example critical or extremely important?
There is no simple answer as it depends on the updates made. If the kernel had a serious security problem, then it is good to restart as soon as possible. If the kernel had only minor fixes, then the restart could be postponed. If you guarantee an availability is greater than 99.9%, then you will almost always have a clustered system where you can reboot the nodes one by one without interrupting the service. So you reboot the first system and reattach it to the cluster. Then the second and so on. Then the service will never become unavailable.
What I wonder about though, is how this works for web servers which should be up 99.9999 etc% of the time? Do they simply not restart and risk the security being breached because security updates are not installed, which I cannot imagine? Or do they take the downtime for granted, which I cannot imagine either? Big web servers are restarted when *system restart required * appears for security reasons. But this is transparent to the user and the site is never down because big servers often run 2 or 3 servers that store exactly the same files and display the same site. The first one is the main server while the 2 others are secondary and are used only when the main server is down.
Add-on for the topic solution. I perform similar check for a reboot requirement if for Zabbix monitoring system. I see 2 issue in a topic a solution. Aptitude usually works badly in scripts. I kill a few hours but still didn't make it work with Zabbix. If only one changelog includes urgent update, your check will always show positive results. My logic is check last change only in changelog for every package which requires system reboot. As an output, show only highest priority update. Using Debian documentation, I found 5 possible values for urgency and also fact that it can followed by equal sign or semicolon characters. Also there can be upper and lower case characters. So I ended up with following. As a result, reboot_acquired_check.show_status returns 1 if reboot is required, 0 if isn't. Reboot_acquired_check.show_urgency returns highest urgency level or E0 if reboot is not required. Hope it helps someone to save a time, winky face.
want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.